as far as like the, understanding De La Soul and what they're really about, like talk to me about like how you started to really understand their
Mhm.
music. Because when you first hear like 3 Feet High and Rising, you're like, oh, this is very jovial and just
Yeah.
uplifting. And then that's it for some people. But like, what is, underneath all that, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, uh, you know, 3 Feet High and Rising, like similar to you, right? I mean, like, encountered them when I was really young, but I didn't listen to that whole album until like 1997, 1998. And same with De La Soul is Dead and Blue Mind State. And, for me, I think it was the late 90s. And as I sort of, just continue to grow as a listener, the more I began to understand what De La Soul were talking about. I mean, so yeah, when I initially, listened to 3 Feet High and Rising in full, like there were just, the songs like Potholes in My Lawn, it's like one of my favorite songs for a long time, by them. Obviously Buddy, right? I mean, so like some of the singles, and then there's, songs like Tread Water, where they're like rapping, but they're talking to animals who are also talking back. And I didn't understand what was going on until like I was in my 20s when I heard songs like that. And I think, once I sort of, began to really focus on their lyricism, and the ways in which that they began to change, like sort of, use different language, right? I mean, they came up with their own sort of sayings. Yeah, it was like early to mid 20s, and I think at least with 3 Feet High and Rising, De La Soul is Dead when I first listened to that, which was, again around 98, 99. I think I latched onto that pretty quickly because I feel like, much of their storytelling was more straightforward. Obviously, like Millie pulled a pistol on Santa, Biddy's in the BK Lounge, right? I mean, like, even Saturdays, I love these songs. And these stories, right? They weren't telling a fable like they were on, sort of Tread Water, right? I mean, so I latched on to De La Soul is Dead pretty early. And also, De La Soul is Dead sort of, captured this angst, that, I feel like if you were like a nerd, you kind of felt, in the sense of like, like for me, I was sort of in between, sort of nerddom, but then also, like all of us, we like playing sports and we were into that as well. So like it wasn't quite the stereotype in high school, but yeah, like on the one hand, it's like I'm into music very much. On the other hand, I also obviously looked like a nerd at the time and maybe even now. And then it's also like, but you just never know what people want to sort of, test your boundaries, right? I mean, so, like that album appealed to me, right off the bat, in part because they were direct, with their message. And because, yeah, it also captured like Oodles of O's, for example, like
Yeah.
just really captured that, that angst, that I was feeling as I was,